Explain it to me like I am a 5-year-old. Please explain it to me like I am a 2-year-old. Please just help me make sense of the world that I'm living in. In this series that we are spending time together, we're trying to construct a framework within which we and our businesses, we as citizens of South Africa, can make sense of the world that we live in. I believe that the only way that we can make sense of the world that we live in is through a genuine Christian understanding and lifestyle. Genuine Christianity that sees the world through God's eyes. Genuine Christianity that understands the world through God's thoughts. Genuine Christianity then that becomes God's hands in this world. Today we are focusing on seeing the world through God's eyes. It's as if we are looking at things through a lens, but many times we are less aware of the lens, but more aware of the things that we see. Many times we look at the world around us through the eyes of the people around us, as opposed to the person that actually establishes the world in the deity of Christ. A great piece of scripture that describes this mental flip that we have to be able to make is Romans 12 verse 2. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, says Paul, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. And then, only when we are able to see the world through God's eyes and shift away from our sight the way that the world looks at things, only then, Romans 12:2 says, only then can we determine what the true will of God is. You see, it's impossible in this world, if we do not see the world through His eyes, to understand His will. If we don't understand His will, we won't be able to make sense of the world that we live in. It is so fundamental. But then the enemy comes with this lie. Once you understand that you have to see the world through His eyes, the enemy comes with a lie that says there are certain things that sit outside the purview of God's eyes. Certain things that you just need to be able to sort out yourself, because the rest of it is under God's grace and under God's purpose. So many times we lock things away from God's view and God's eyes, and it's those things that confuse us, make us uncertain, and those things that scare us. A few of those examples where we try to just live as if God is not in that place, God doesn't see that place, would be politics. It would be crime. It would be what happens in our correctional facilities. It may be, in your way of looking at the world, the Internet of Things. It may be artificial intelligence. It may be DNA coding. It may be so many different things that in the way that you look at the world, you put outside of the purview of God. And then we get confused, and then we get scared. John 1 is very clear. All things were made by Him. All things were made for Him. Nothing in this world came to being without Him. Nothing is outside of His purview. Colossians make it even clearer in Colossians 1. In Him all things hold together. I want to ask you this question. Are you seeing the world that you live in through His eyes, or are you running after what everybody else sees? Are you putting certain things that, like how you think about your business, how you think about the political situation in this country, how do you think about crime in this country? Are you looking at crime just through crime statistics? Are you looking at politics just through the lens of what's going to happen in December at the elective conference of the ANC? Are you looking at the world around you through the eyes of journalists and newspapers? Are you looking through God's eyes? I want to challenge you. If you are scared and fearful in South Africa, I want to challenge you and I want to make this statement. Maybe it is because you haven't been looking at the political situation in South Africa with God's eyes. If you are fearful for your company, if you are fearful for your children in South Africa, for their future here, maybe you just haven't been looking at your child's future, at your business's future through the eyes of God. And I want to challenge you. Don't you want to take those places that you are fearful of and that brings fear into your life, and don't you want to spend time today or tonight in your quiet time and see those things through God's eyes? I promise you, once you allow Him in those places where you thought that He has not been and should not be, once you allow Him there, something will shift in your understanding and in your doing in those places. I challenge you that if you allow Him in those places, fear will not be part of your life. I challenge you that if you allow Him in those places, peace will be the way and the agenda with which you live in this country.